Welcome back to Our Town, Our Time. Randall Holzmeyer with you this week, filling in for Michelle Hemphill. And I am joined now by a very special guest. Everyone, this is Merideth Wood. Merideth, why don't you tell the folks a little bit about yourself?
Well, like you said, my name is Merideth Wood. I am born and raised in Springfield, Ohio. I just graduated from Cedarville University with my social work degree. And I founded an organization called Obed's House last July.
You know, and that's one of the things that we always talk about on Our Town, Our Time here are young people who do extraordinary things, okay? And I've been listening to your story for a little while now, and I think it's a fantastic story. Let's not miss any of it, okay? It starts with Naomi's
Heart Mission.
Heart Mission, right. Tell me a little bit about Naomi's Heart Mission first.
Okay, well, Naomi's Heart Mission was founded by Christy and Danny Ward, who are also Springfield residents. They started it 6 years ago after going on a short-term trip to the Philippines. Just had a dream that they felt like the Lord had called them to the Philippines. So after 6 years of kind of developing what at first it was going to start as an orphanage and then it didn't work out, is now a school, a Christian school, for locals in the Philippines. And they started out with kindergarten, and each year they've added a grade, so now they're up to third grade. And they have a little over 400 students. And so what they do is these students that are part of Naomi's Heart Mission are sponsored by people from America. And it first started out by people from Springfield sponsoring them, but it's grown, and now we have supporters from California and Florida, Connecticut, so it's been exciting.
And from that was born Obed's House. Tell us about Obed's House.
Well, one morning we were at the mission. I've lived there every summer in college. And we were at the mission, and our bodyguard came in to the office one morning and said, you know, we have these 3 little boys that have shown up. They're hungry, they're starving, they're dirty, and you know, can we feed them? Do we have anything left over? And, you know, of course we do. So, you know, we all kind of ran out of the office. We wanted to see these little boys, and we went into the kitchen. Our cook prepared them plates of rice, and, you know, it was my first time really seeing, you know, at my residence in the Philippines, these children who, and they were covered in white paint and dirt. They'd just been diving through a dumpster and found paint and no shoes, just starving, and it just looked so sad. And so we gave them some rice. Each of them ate 3 plates of it.
Wow.
It was incredible. And so I just kind of looked over to my bodyguard and I said, well, you know, like, where are they going to go now? And he said, well, you know, street children's a problem here, and they're just going to go back onto the street. And I was kind of like, we can't do that. Like, I can't let them go back. So at that point in time, I was writing a blog. That was my 2nd year there. And he said, well, why don't you ask your supporters through your blog if they will, you know, give you some money for the kids to be able to stay here. And I was like, okay, you know, money is not a fun thing to ask for.
Sure.
But I said, okay, I'll do it. And so, you know, I wrote about the boys and shared some pictures on my blog, and within 6 days I had raised $4,000. And that was just crazy to me, because I hadn't even raised that much to get over there just for that summer. And so that was kind of the start of Obed's House. And when I was there last summer in July, really the dreams and, you know, stuff started to happen, and I really felt the Lord kind of calling me to
Okay, so before we go further into the dream, I want everyone to understand what the orphan situation in the Philippines is like. You were explaining to me that there are kind of ages that kind of indicate when boys are men and so forth.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, most of the families in the Philippines, I would say the average size, now this is just, you know, my own thoughts, but are at least eight people per household. The households are, or the houses are really small, and the way that the boys, these 3 boys that I've been talking about, their family situation is they are 3 of 12.
Wow.
And what kind of happens in the Philippines is these families get so big, and so the parents decide that they can just take care of their youngest ones. So Benji, who's the youngest boy, when he turned 5 years old, they kind of sent him out onto the street, and they kind of treat boys at 5 years old like they're men. They can fend for themselves. They can go out into the street and
Wow.
they provide for the family. And
Wow, even at my young age, I can barely take care of myself. Without my wife, I'd be in terrible, terrible jeopardy. Okay, so the dream is born.
mm-hmm.
Tell us about the dream, Obed's house.
Obed's house. I don't necessarily know if I want to call it necessarily a dream, but just kind of a calling. Like, it's something that I really felt the Lord place heavily on my heart. And I mean, a little backtrack, I never thought I would be doing this with my life. I was planning on going to the University of Cincinnati for fashion design, and it's just kind of crazy what the Lord will do with your plans. So I think that if you can kind of look back and see the Lord's hand in everything, and how He kind of, I introduced me to these boys my second year there, and then, my third year there, they kept coming back. My fourth year, it was kind of like there was this huge need at Naomi's heart, because a lot of children would come up, street children, and they would want to go to school. Well, at first, we tried to do that, let them live at the mission and go to school, but there was no person that was taking care of them, because when I left to go back to college, there they were by themselves again. So we'd, get sponsors from America to send them to school. They'd go to school for a couple weeks, and then they're back out into the street.
Wow.
Therefore, creating the need for Obed's house, to happen, just a place to be able to take kids in, give them structure, give them the love of family, and to be able to send them to school that way. And
that's great. So talk about the specifics of Obed's house. I understand that you purchased a property.
Yes.
Okay, and the renovations are taking place now.
Yes, they are taking place. New Year's Eve of 2013, a very gracious couple showed up at my door unannounced and wrote me a check for the entire mortgage and property for the house. So still to this day, I can't believe it. I mean, it was just the biggest blessing. So the house has been purchased. It is there waiting for us to start renovation. We're still raising some support for it, but when I go this August, we'll start renovation, and it was just going to be a boys' home, but now we are accepting girls and boys because of an overwhelming amount of girls showing up, and I couldn't just turn them away. Right. So we're going to start a second floor renovation at the orphanage for boys to live on the second floor, and then girls will live on the first floor.
And how many children will you serve altogether in Obed's house?
Right now we're building 6 rooms to house 12 children.
Okay.
So we have 12 on the waiting list for March of 2015.
Fantastic. So obviously people are going to want to help you. We love young people who are excited and do things positively impacting our world. And this is a fantastic thing that you're doing. If people wanted to contribute, if they wanted to help, how would they help?
Well, I do have a website. It's www.obedshouse.org. And on there it will provide kind of just a little bit of what we've talked about. There's the background story. You can see some of the kids personally, and their story is on there. And then there's a link that you can click on that will take you to kind of a donation site. My agency that supports me is Fellowship Christian Church, which is based out of Springfield. And so it'll take you to their website, and it'll give you some more instructions on how you can donate, what our needs are, how much we've raised thus far.
Okay, so and the goal is?
$40,000 for totally furnished, ready to go in March.
And where we're at right now?
We're at about $28,000.
Okay, so we're well on our way.
Huge blessing. I mean, it's been less than a year that we started fundraising, so.
And I think one of the things that I really like about it is, people always want to do good things, but they don't think about sustainability. And it seems that you've already conquered that as well.
Yeah.
You have a budget built.
Yes.
To maintain and operate facilities.
We do. We have a $3,000 a month budget. What we've done is we've figured out how much is it going to cost for the necessities for each child living there. We have a bodyguard who's living on the premises. We have an in-home housekeeper, kind of nanny. And then I'll also be working as a social worker down there and have an assistant social worker living with me. So that $3,000 covers the food and bills and
that's
everything.
all provided by ongoing donations?
By ongoing support, yes.
Fantastic. So what's next for you? Do you live there? Is that your goal?
Yeah, well, I'll be going from August to November of this year, and I will be there for those 3 months, starting the total renovation. Coming home in November, I'd like to really tackle getting the rest of our support raised, which would be the monthly support and then whatever is left of the $40,000. And then March of 2015 is our projected grand opening. So I just
so
can't
exciting.
wait.
That's so exciting. Well, we are very proud of you and so happy to have met you. Almost met you by accident,
Yes.
friend of a friend. But folks, perfect example. If you think that today's younger people, today's generation is lost or not paying attention, case in point, everyone, Merideth is clearly on goal to do something tremendous, and we really hope that you reach out to help her. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Now, one of the other great things, I should say, that's going on here in Springfield, we recently had a build for children of all abilities at the Snyder Park. I was out there and got a story. We're going to take a look at that right now.